Thank you. Good evening to everybody. Mr. Chairman and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen at the high table, I'm honored to be sitting with you. This big man business, I'm a shy person. A lot of people don't know that, actually. No, that's wrong. It makes me, I don't know, very uncomfortable. I'm just me. Before I say the keynote remarks, which is what I'm supposed to be doing, I think I feel honored to be invited to give the keynote. Normally that belongs to politicians like the honorable here. So when ordinary men are invited to give keynotes, we tremble. And then I noticed, and I'm still on my preliminary remarks before I start saying what I came here to say. I noticed that the Master of Ceremonies gave us a Wi-Fi code when he was starting. And I was very surprised because he first told us to put off our phones and then proceeded to give us the Wi-Fi code so that we can continue to be in touch with those who are not here instead of those who are here, which is what is happening around the world. The other thing I noticed was that when he was giving the password, he said N for Netflix instead of N for Nanano. But Netflix, as you know, is one of the ways that we are sending quite a lot of money outside the jurisdiction, which I wish our taxation will address. So, Honorable I noticed that you are concerned about the gap in the leadership, transformational leadership of Africa, which is very, very a noble objective, and I'm totally in support of the organization CAMP. And some of us from the little corner that we are will provide as much support as we can and work with you to achieve the goals. We need thousands and thousands of this. I'm a major believer in Africa. I tend to have unconventional ideas, so pardon me if I say things which do not agree with the norm. And I speak from my heart. I don't read speeches. In fact, I've never read a speech before. I just either speak from my heart, or if I write a speech, I cannot read it. I will jump it. So, I'll just speak to the points I have here. Interestingly, there are two types of Africa. For those of you who follow my tweets, I tweet a lot, almost every morning. And I said there are two types of Africa. There is Africa which is reflected in the leaders we see every day and who give us the bad name. And then there is Africa which is burdened with entrepreneurs, people who want to transform the continent, the young people, the old people who are doing great things and have transformed their corners, and nobody talks about that story. These are two distinct Africas, and I tweeted about it once. And I'm reflecting on it because of some of the things I will be saying. But there are also three dangers to the world that people don't talk about. I found myself, together with one of the partners in my law firm, in a securities meeting in London on global security, and we were only two blacks there. And the gentleman who led the session during the break asked me, "Why are you here?" And I said, "Because I'm concerned about global security." And I told the gathering that there are three dangers to the world that nobody talks about, and he didn't talk about it. The first danger is those who have developed or advanced and who think that the sustenance of their advancement can only be maintained if they keep others underdeveloped. The second danger are those who have managed to develop, breaking all the rules, but are repeating the mistakes of the first group. The third danger I care about most are the African leaders who look up to those who look down on us. These three dangers are dangers that we overlook, but which one day will explode. It's almost guaranteed if you don't change it, to change it. Which is why organizations like CAMP, seeking to transform our youth for the future, are very important because they can prevent these dangers from occurring. There is no time for me to elaborate on these dangers. But having said that, I was asked to speak on leadership in Africa's development, and I will want to start by changing the topic to leadership in Africa's redevelopment. I don't buy into the concept that Africa is underdeveloped. Africa simply needs to redevelop. Because to say Africa is not developed is to admit that Africa has never developed. Indeed, Africa led today's civilization. We showed mankind how to smelt iron. We built the largest, tallest and longest wall, longer than that of China, right here in Benin Republic or Benin a city in Nigeria. We developed the artifacts which were stolen. Indeed, Mansa Musa, still the richest man who ever lived, was so rich that his journey to Mecca made gold prices drop for 10 years. We built the first university in the world, which is in Timbuktu in Mali. We built the pyramids with such precision that Pythagoras and Socrates actually learned from the Egyptians in Africa. Africa developed long ago. We actually once enslaved Europe. The Moors, who are from North Africa, taught the Europeans how to make soap and how to bath. These are facts of life. The first written constitution is actually from Africa. It is called the Kuga Futa, and you can check it. It was as a result of when wars are over in 1235, the Mandinka kingdom reduced their constitution into writing. But nobody talks about it. It is simply time for Africa to redevelop. And I will explain why as I go along and why redevelopment is important. I once watched with sadness when vaccines came to Africa for the first time in terms of COVID-19. And if I recall, it was John Boss of CNN who was reporting about the vaccine being jabbed into. And it was our president who was shown on the TV, as CNN said. John Boss was asking somebody, so what do you think about vaccines in Africa as vaccines go into poor arms? And the arm they were referring to was that of our president. He is not poor. We all know that. Neither am I poor. But the psyche of the typical developed person is to constantly tell us we are poor. And we buy into it. So even people who are not poor are described as poor, as if there is no poor in America or in Europe. And again, that is the reason why I say we should be talking about Africa's redevelopment and not Africa's development. Why are we where we are? We are where we are because of lack of leadership. So there is no doubt about the importance of this. And I do not want to beat about the bush about leadership. By leadership, I'm talking about political leadership, nothing more.
Thank you.
I'm not going to talk about leadership in the organization, etc. The truth about it is that no matter how much you transform your organization, if the political leadership is not transformed, the organization takes its cover from that of the political leadership. So that's what I want to talk about. I'm talking about political leadership in Africa. And we unfortunately find ourselves in an era where it is very difficult to transform the continent from political leadership. Some of us actually believe that the best way to develop Africa is not to enter politics. It's strange that I'm talking about political leadership, yet I believe that the best way is not to enter politics. And I once tweeted an example that I want anybody who calls Ghana as an example, as corporate Ghana, to tell me which corporate organization he knows, which after selecting his MD, has an opposition leader who constantly undermines the leader or the managing director for 4 years and presents a counter policy and expects transformation. I don't know if you know any country in the world, not one, which has transformed from multi-party democracy. It doesn't exist. I know you'll be pointing to America and Europe. They were not multi-party democracies in this form when they were developing. Neither am I saying we should go back on multi-party democracy. I have a solution to that. We should stick to it because that's the way we have come to, to be structured. But we should do away with the divisive nature because the divisive part of it is designed to keep us where we are. If we cannot overcome the divisive aspect of it, it is just like a knife is meant to help you cook, but you are using it to kill. That's exactly what it is. Remember that we didn't develop with military dictatorship. and we are not developing with multi-party democracy. So what is wrong with us is more than the system of government. Now, to begin with, if CAMP wants to mentor people, make an outreach to people, and empower them, then it's important that the first thing they deal with is leading self. Anybody who seeks to lead others without leading himself is wasting his time. He's actually on a very long walk. Now, what is the meaning of leading self? Leading self means being disciplined enough to achieve what you desire to achieve. That's simple. That's how I want to define it. Because the moment you decide to do anything, the temptations to go away from it begin. There are people who think that once you drive a nice car or you live in a good building, then you must be wealthy, and therefore you amass a lot of them. At times I wonder how many cars they can drive at the same time and how many buildings they live in, and to what extent they have impacted on society when there are people who are poor and who are not even educated. Wealth is just like power. True power is that which is used to empower others. That is why Mandela is powerful, even though he's not in power. That is why people still remember Kwame Nkrumah, because he empowered others. Otherwise, if you are, for example, a priest, you have enough powers to step on the stomach of pregnant women. I'm sure you've seen that. That type of power does not transform society. And therefore, in teaching the youth, teach them to avoid these things. The next thing I recommend you teach them is that it is important to constantly reinvent. The thing about development is that once you succeed, others will begin to copy you. Nobody succeeds alone. If you've lived in this country long enough, you will know that many years ago, what is today called Accra City Hotel or Novotel was about the biggest thing in town. Today, you can't count the number of hotels. Similarly, when Tigo, then called trying to Mobitel, it was the first in town. How many are there now? Nobody allows you to succeed alone. Therefore, when you succeed, it gets to a point where you plateau, just like happened to Africa. And that is why our success is 3,000 years ago. The ability to constantly reinvent oneself in every corner we find ourselves is very important if success is to be sustained for a very long period. So teach the youth about that. Teach them also that this continent needs unity more than any other thing. I had the occasion to recently have a session with Mr. Benjamin Boachi, and we were talking about oil and gas for Africa's future. And I actually said that unity is more important than natural resources, including oil and gas. You can have all the natural resources, and God deliberately put all of it here because He knows that until we unite, there is nothing we can do with it. Indeed, it's our disunity which has brought us where we are. If I were to ask around what has brought Africa to where we are, one of the things will be, people will talk about, will be slavery. But why were we enslaved? Because some people called royals believed that those who were slaves could be sold. And once we started selling them, then it got to a point where they were no more buying, but forcibly taking us away. If you divide royals from slaves, you will be enslaved. There are royals in Europe as well, but they do not divide themselves into that much. And therefore, the British national anthem actually says, Britons shall never be slaves. They know what happened to them when the Moors were there. If I were to look at it again, somebody will say, partition of Africa. But we were partitioned because when the partition conference was held in 1874, chiefs were in a hurry to accept small kingdoms because of their pomposity in order to be chiefdoms over small kingdoms instead of part of the whole. If I were to tell you why we have the trouble in Congo today, Congo DR is no doubt the richest country in the world, by far. Absolutely by far. Everything you need in the world is in that country, including everything you need for your phone. God put 2/3 of everything there, including battery, everything. But it is carefully divided into 4. And the Tutsis were partitioned without partition to be divided into Uganda, Congo, Rwanda, and the fourth country. I remember the fourth country. It's conscious effort, and we enjoy our disunity. And you want an example? Don't go far. Look at Jesus' temptation on the mountain. You are so hungry, if you bow before me, I will give you food. That's what the devil said. The truth about transformation is that the devil will point out to you how horrible your situation is, and how if you want to do what they want you to do, they will transform you. That is what actually happens to our leaders when they meet those who have helped us down. They help them to satisfy their own personal needs, so we will be kept where we are, and our resources will continue to build other places. Because we cannot overcome the lack of self-discipline that you cannot transform until you overcome that struggle, and the devil comes through with that. Lastly, anybody who seeks to be a transformational leader, if you are mentoring them, teach them to seek wisdom. And this, many find it surprising anywhere I have said it. Wisdom cannot be taught. It can only be given as a gift by God. And I believe it is. What can be taught is knowledge. And there are many who confuse wisdom with knowledge. They read books, they learn many things about leadership, etc., and they mistake it for wisdom. Knowledge is that which has been done before and which has been researched, and which, based on it, you can make a decision. But artificial intelligence also has knowledge because they use data. Wisdom is that which enables you to apply knowledge in the right way, and that which enables you to make the right decision even in the absence of knowledge. It's a gift that is only given when you ask God. My recommendation to come is that as you develop transformational leaders in Africa, teach them these things. Because this continent lives in a very dangerous era where even the attempt to transform the continent itself is fraught with peril by those who don't want the continent to develop, including our own fellows. And without wisdom, they may not learn to be as wise as a serpent and as harmless as a dove. And this continent can never be transformed without wisdom. Thank you very much.
No, I actually think that he deserves a standing ovation because it is not often you hear wise words spoken in their true character.